Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
Hey, this is Rob on Skylab Tapes on Twitter, and you're listening to the Hook That Rocks podcast. Jay Scott, and it rocks.
Hey everyone, what's happening? What's going on? Happy 4th of July weekend to all of you. Once again, this is Jay Scott. This is the Hook Rocks, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast. Hope everyone's enjoying their summer, getting ready for the big weekend. Get your barbecues all ready to go. Carnivals, festivals. It feels like we're back to normal, doesn't it? But we're slowly getting there. I don't know if we're 100%, but we're maybe about 85, 90%. But hopefully we're at the 100% range sometime soon. I think we're heading there. Hopefully we don't have any setbacks. Like I always say, we are part of the Pantheon Podcast Network, the network of music podcasts, a great platform, a great family to be a part of. You can check out my fellow podcasters such as Cobras and Fire, Shout Out Loudcast, Martin Popoff, Carmen Apiece and Vinny Appice do their hanging and banging. And Mistress Carrie, all the way out there on the East Coast, she's got a great podcast as well. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us wherever you podcast, write us a review if you want. We always like to hear what you think of the show and how we're doing and the interviews and the commentary we have. We always appreciate you stopping by and giving us a listen. We always do have great new bands to introduce you to. We've had Dirty Honey on in the past, Joyous Wolf, Tyler Bryant, many others, and always enjoy to talk to them about their new music. The next artists are part of a band that's been around for a bit. They've got a couple albums, a few albums under the belt. They've got their latest album out as well here in 2021. So they may not be new, but they're probably new to a lot of my audience. So I'd like to introduce Leela and Tom from the Montreal Canadian band, The Damn Truth. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Very good, Jay. Thanks for having us on.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So before we begin to the important stuff, let's just get out of the way. How frustrated are you with the Canadians right now?
We have hope, dude. We have lots of hope. We love our team. I'm not saying one bad word against them. They're gonna do it.
I'm hoping, because I don't want Tampa Bay to win again. I can't stand Tampa Bay, but
that makes three of us here.
Yes, let's hope Carey Price brings it home. I'm a big fan of Philip Deneau from his time with the Chicago Blackhawks. Hopefully, Carey Price and Shea Weber are able to get their first cup, so my fingers are crossed.
Oh,
Ours too.
Ours too, man. We've been watching religiously.
It's been also super cool to see that the organization of the Montreal Canadiens actually chose to use our song, "This Is Who We Are Now," as part of like the Montreal Canadiens slogan for the playoff run. So it's been really exciting to watch the games on TV and hearing our song in the Bell Center while the games are going on, and it's really cool.
That is a tremendous honor, though, for you guys. I mean, I can imagine being from Montreal and hearing that. That's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
The first time it happened, I literally cried.
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, our phones were going off the hook because we had friends in the arena, and they were just like, "Are you hearing it, listening?" And they're like recording it for us, and we were just crying. It was so crazy.
It's so awesome. Really cool. Well, we always start the same way every time we have a first-time guest on the podcast, and that is the essence of the show. Just like every rock song has a hook that sucks you in, every rock fan has a moment, whether a song, an album, a band, or performance that hooked them on rock and roll. What was it for you?
I guess I'll go first. It's a really good question, but I feel like I was aware of music from a very young age. I mean, everything was kind of like coming together in my life. I mean, I remember clearly listening to Guns N' Roses and Metallica and whatever, but it was really when I heard Led Zeppelin coming from my sister's room growing up that I was like, holy crap, what's that, And the first time I listened to Stairway to Heaven and Black Dog, and I think that moment really, I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Awesome. You, Leela?
For me, I think it was, also I was listening to like rock and roll since I was really young. My dad was a huge like rock and roll fan. So we had a big vinyl collection at home. So, I mean, I from the age of 4 or 5, I got really into the Beatles and really, really loved all those albums. But I think it was when I was probably 10 or 11. And the first time my dad gave me Surrealistic Pillow, Jefferson Airplane's record and I heard like White Rabbit, that song for me, and just blew me away. What Grace like made me feel listening to that song, has always been this like unattainable emotion that I just want to get back to all the time. It's incredible.
Yeah. Where did it go from there with you guys? I mean, obviously hearing rock music begins you on your path, begins you on your journey of rock and roll. When did it become that you wanted to perform live and be in a band?
Well, I guess it was like really I was always performing since I was a kid. I played guitar since I was 4 or 5, and it was always part of my being. I knew that I loved it. I loved to perform and I loved to sing and play. But the moment that, I really, really wanted to be in a rock and roll band was the minute I met Tom. Like we met, naked in a hippie festival. And, we realized very quickly that we have the same influences and we love the same music. And we basically started jamming for like 8 hours that first time that we met. And, we haven't stopped since. So I guess he was my real inspiration to join a rock and roll band.
What about writing music? Was there someone who influenced you on writing music, like a song, a lyric that made you want to put pen to paper and write a song?
Well, for me, it was since I've been a kid, just like reading, writing, keeping diaries, journals, poetry. It's always been with me. I love it. I love. I think it's an incredible tool. It's also been like a healing device for me, to sort of like put pen to paper and write down what I'm going through, what I'm feeling. It's always been with me. So I guess writing songs just came very, very natural, to me growing up.
Do you write through observation? Do you write through personal experience?
All the above. It's a bit of everything. Definitely, I guess it has to be a personal place for me. It's definitely things that touch me. It's also, it's like a combination of things. I really, really like strong imagery, and I really like things that go deep, like not just on the surface and not just your, regular little love songs. I like to touch the difficult topics. I think that it's a good way to open up and to heal and to share. Those are all pretty important things in my life.
For me, it's songwriting was always kind of a cure for my lonerism, if it makes sense. Because it's like, even when you have friends around and you play in bands and, you have girlfriends and whatnot. I mean, inside, I always kind of feel alone, and it's like songwriting is kind of like, it's kind of a tool where I just try to share some of these feelings. And one of the best moments, one of the best payouts that songwriting has, for me anyway, personally, is like sometimes standing on that stage and hearing like, hundreds of people singing those lyrics back at you. And you're like, you feel like you're not alone for a second, It's like, hey, those feelings that I had, that I felt so personal about, that I felt like nobody could maybe understand, they're universal. There's other people that are going through the same thing as me. And really, like, I think writing songs, for me, that's really where it came from,
When you are writing music and you're writing songs and you have to tap into an emotion, whether it's from a personal experience or whether it's from an observation that causes you to feel a certain emotion, how difficult is it for you guys to tap into that, to kind of relive those experiences or, get into or tap into that observation?
It's actually a funny question, because I feel like that the best songs that we write anyway happen really quickly. So we never really stop and think about any of it. It's just kind of like there's a great riff and lyrics just happen and we jam it and you put the pen to paper and all of a sudden it's done within, 20 minutes. And those tend to be the songs that I personally like the most. The ones that take a little bit longer to write, where you have to spend time like actually thinking about the meaning of the lyrics and what am I trying to say here, whatever. I hold a very special place in my heart for them too, but they never seem to resonate with the audience as much as like those bangers that just happen really, really quickly.
I think we also have a tendency to like overthink things, and to try to make things the best they can be, and in some place, it's kind of the opposite is what's true. That initial the initial emotion and the initial reaction to the excitement of the hook of a really great sounding riff, for example. Like those are those moments that we want to try to like really, really capture and just build around and not lose it. Not lose that moment and that naivety in a way.
It's something. There's something that John Lennon said in one of the interviews that I watched, that when him and Paul McCartney used to write all these songs for the Beatles back in the early days, he would make Paul not to get up, even to go to the bathroom before the song was done. So they would have this thing where they would start a song, She Loves You, and they'll have like 2 lines or something, and they won't even get up and go to the bathroom or, eat a sandwich, whatever, before the song is done. And that always like stayed with me. It's like when you're on a roll, you have to stay in the same frame of mind, kind of like get it done,
It's interesting. I never heard that story, but it had to make some amusing stories between the both of them.
Yeah,
for sure.
The new album is out. It was released back in May, and the album is called Now or Nowhere. It really defines your sound. It really shows the growth and evolution of the band. Love the songwriting, love the hooks on it, love the melodies. What was it like? I know you guys recorded with Bob Rock for some of the songs on this album. What was this recording process like for you guys?
Recording with Bob was absolutely incredible. It's like it was a dream come true. It was when we were on tour in Europe and we were thinking about, what we want to do and how we want to make this the next record. all we knew is that we wanted to work with somebody legendary, you know, and growing up, like there were two names of producers that we knew. There was George Martin and there was Bob Rock. And so they were both, you know, in the figment, the realm of our imaginations. We didn't ever really thought we'd get to work with somebody of that caliber. And we were just super lucky that we had a mutual friend and he was able to send some songs to Bob, and Bob liked it, you know, and said, sure, let's do it. So it was very, very, very exciting. And quite incredible for us to get into the studio with him. We spent four days at Bryan Adams' studio in Vancouver together, doing 6 songs in 4 days. And it felt like a lifetime, and it felt like we just, you know, we didn't even reach the tip of the iceberg. You know, it was so incredible. I don't even know where to start.
One of the cool things about recording that way, though, was that we chose to record this album kind of like in the old school way of the 70s, where the whole band is in the same room and we kind of capture the sound of the band. So in order to do that, we really had to dedicate ourselves for a good amount of months of just locking ourselves in our rehearsal space and just getting these songs as tight as we can. I mean, first of all, I was going to have to play guitar in front of Bob Rock, which was terrifying. And I think everybody in the band kind of felt the pressure. We wanted to impress him. And when we showed up at the studio, I mean, we set up, we got to do 3 takes of each song, and that was it. And I think that excitement of playing in front of Bob and being in the big studio, it's something that's a little bit lost in today's music scene. And we definitely wanted to capture the sound that our heroes, you know, had. And it was important for us. And I'm really happy we did it because the result is, to me, the best album that we've ever made.
What were the differences in recording this album? I mean, you mentioned, you know, a few things, but in terms of the collaborative process, in terms of the writing process, what was different about this album than the ones previous?
Well, I mean, first of all, you know, this album was written, and the songs that were written came after years of touring, like intense touring around the globe that really opened our eyes to like, I guess, the important things in life in a way, not wanting to sound cliche, but I don't know, like when I listen back to those first 2 records, I love dearly as well. But I hear my voice and I hear anger and I hear frustration. And there was a lot of that in the person that I was. So I feel that I've changed a lot since I made those earlier records. And I think that my songwriting has changed. And it was affected by everything that we kind of went through as a band. I mean, we've been through quite a lot. We've toured extensively. We've opened in like some of our most, incredible nights were like opening for ZZ Top or opening for The Cult or being on tour with, I don't know, like so many amazing people, Rival Sons, and you just, you learn a lot about yourself and you're also a part of this like growing experience. I don't know. I find that we've matured as a band, and there's a lot to it, and when you change on the road.
It's funny because, just traveling from town to town and country to country, the shows are always cool and always great, but it's the experience that you have after the show. It's meeting the people from all different walks of life and different places. And I think we, as a band, as a collective, we kind of like, I remember like having conversations about an event that we kind of agreed that and this is before COVID, our last tours and whatever, we kind of agreed that like what the world needs, like what people, the vibe that we're getting from people is hopefulness, and love and stuff like that. And we wanted to make a record that kind of reflects that. We didn't want to point fingers and say, this is everything that's wrong with the world. We wanted to do an album that's about hope and love and moving forward.
Was that important for you guys? I mean, we talk about the pandemic and a crazy year 2020 was, and I know you guys are still a little bit behind the United States in terms of opening up and, doing things and doing things freely as you once were and once did. But, that tone that you mentioned of taking on that with the album, that was a little different than the other albums. Was that part of that escape for you guys to, say, everything is crap that's happening in reality right now is just not something I want to deal with. The positive and the hope and love that you guys talk about in the album, was that important for you guys when you went into that escape of making music?
For sure. Also remember that all these songs were written pre-COVID, and so it's interesting. Like when I listen back, it seems almost like, wow, in a way we've, like, I don't know, like those first lyrics of "This is who we are now," they kept resonating with me because, for those first few months, all I was doing was like reading the news and being bombarded with all this, all this fear, and like those lyrics sort of are embodied in that first verse. But it was written way before we had any idea that COVID was about to hit and change everything. So it's, definitely, we definitely wanted to write a positive record, a record that was going to, that would bring us, first of all, that we would like to listen to. We really it was important for us to make records that we enjoy listening to, and then hopefully others would like it as well.
Was there any music or any songs that were changed as a result? You mentioned a lot of the record was written before the pandemic. Was there stuff that you decided to change because it wasn't what you were feeling, or maybe that song didn't connect with you guys as it did prior?
Not quite, but there was one song a couple of songs that changed quite drastically with Bob Rock in the studio. There's a song on the record called "Only Love," and that song was kind of like a ballad when we brought it to Bob, and he was like, "Yeah, we should try it a little bit faster," but a little bit faster was almost like double the speed that we had it, and he was like, "Okay, 1, 2, 3, go, play it now." And it was like it was just a weird like experience, and we played it, and I guess it sounded good to him, and he didn't even let us listen to it after we've done the take. He's like, "Yeah, you got it, it's amazing." And we're like, what just happened? We moved on to the next song, and listening back to it, he was so right. The song sounds so much better than it was before.
I love the song "Tomorrow." That is, for me, just a huge song, probably my favorite song on the album. Oddly enough, what was really cool is my 16-year-old son is the one that kind of pushed you guys onto me.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's cool.
He was listening to this music, and he's like, "Dad, you got to check this band out." And he just played it for me in the car. And I think the song that he played was "Everything Fades." And he's like, "The song is so beautiful. It's so great." So that's where and how I discovered you guys. It was through him.
Wow, cool.
You got a cool kid.
Yeah.
I'd like to think so, right? So, as far as making this album, did you guys hold on to this a little bit longer because of COVID? Was there a change in release dates that you initially planned to do, or was it always 2021?
No, absolutely. We were supposed to release it in 2020, but what happened was that we, because of Bob's schedule, we were booked with him to do the first part of the album, and we were supposed to go back in March or April of 2020 back to Vancouver, because that's where he records, and finish the record with him. But obviously, everything was on lockdown. He lives in Hawaii, so he couldn't get into Canada, and we couldn't go there. And in the beginning, it was kind of like a waiting game. We're like, oh, a couple more months is going to be done, a couple more weeks. But that day never just never came. But actually, it's still not here. We're like in the middle of 2021 right now, and Canada's still pretty much closed off to the world. And our record label was basically saying, guys, we can't wait any longer. Basically, if you guys either release an EP, with 6 songs, or finish the record by yourself somehow. And we just didn't want to put out an EP. We felt like these 9 songs really work well together as a body of art. And we just, I don't know how we did, but we managed to, I produced a couple of songs. Our drummer Dave is in an amazing recording studio here in Montreal called The Freak Shop. And he produced a song and we pulled it off, Actually, it's funny that your son likes Everything Fades, because that's one of the songs that I produced myself.
A beautiful song. Absolutely. As far as evolving as artists, you talk about this album like it was a big step in the evolution for you guys. How important is that for you to keep things fresh. I mean, not everyone is AC/DC. Not everyone can release the same album and still have it kick ass and sound great. What is it? What makes you guys want to evolve? Why is it so important to you?
I think it's inevitable. It's just like, you're there's that saying that you'll never be the same person that you are today, tomorrow, right? You just won't. Like, we definitely change. We're affected by everything that goes on in our lives and by the different, experiences that we go through. And I think that it has to be a part of the art that we create, because first of all, it would be really boring if we didn't, and if we stayed the same, and if music stayed the same and art stayed the same. No, it's got to evolve, it's got to change, and it's got to grow. So I only hope that we will continue changing and evolving and experimenting, because I think that's kind of the essence of it all.
It's very difficult when you're an artist and you are evolving, because your fans fall in love with your sound. And, it's very hard for a rock band to allow their favorite bands and artists to get out of the box that they're in, right? Rock bands like that comfort, that familiarity. But when we talked earlier in this conversation about the Beatles and Led Zeppelin, two bands that evolved drastically through their careers to the end of their careers. The Beatles, the songs from their first few albums all the way to Abbey Road and Let It Be. You talk from Led Zeppelin 1 and Zeppelin 2 to In Through the Outdoor. So there is that constant change, especially in some of the biggest influences for you guys. But you mentioned a great thing, Leela, is that you're changing as people. And as you change as a person, you maybe like certain things that maybe you weren't open to years ago or a few years ago, and now you are, and that affects how you make music. How is it difficult for you guys to maintain the Damn Truth sound while you're evolving as an artist?
We kind of call our rehearsal space, or I guess what happens in the Damn Truth, we call it that. Each one of us will bring a song. We can bring a song into the space. I can write a little folky, whatever, love song, and I'll bring it into the space, and it'll go through the Damn Truth machine where, it'll come out something completely different, because we're four individuals that have four, strong opinions and strong loves and different inspirations as well, of course. And we bring that all together, and all together we become, this machine. We're the Damn Truth machine. It gets damn truthified. And I think as long as we're open to each other and truthful with each other, and we're very accepting of the different music that we all love and bring to the table. And it's a democracy. We really, we work together well. We're a family unit. We love traveling together. So it just works. It's a very organic, process, I think. And, I think we all embrace it. We all embrace the fact that things are going to change and evolve and come out different, because otherwise there's no point in being in a band. If you just want to be you can be your own solo artist and have nobody to actually, yeah, exactly. No one's going to come and say, I don't like this song or whatever. You can just be a solo artist, but you do want the input from your other band members, and you want it to become something more than what you can do on your own.
I think that's the magic of being in a band. It's really cool. Sometimes, like Leah said, she'll bring in like a little folk song, whatever, and it would come out like borderline metal, because it goes through the machine, and that's something that we feel like that none of us could have done by ourselves. And I feel like we live in an era of the solo artist, because of social media and the way it's all structured, where, people have accounts on social media. It's a very personal thing, it's like everybody's a solo artist now. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. And we, like I said before, the way we made this album, it's very important for us, the way that we maintain this band. Like, there's a magic that happens between four people and four individuals and four thought processes that we all kind of eventually have to agree on, and goes through that machine, and it comes out the other end something that's very unique to all four of us. And that's the magic of being in a band, I think. And what you said about the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and all those great artists that we love, it's not for nothing that they're bands, they're not just solo artists, because there's magic to it.
As you look forward with this record and, the ability to tour, what is the current situation in Canada? When do you guys anticipate being able to bring the music to the people and perform live again?
I wish I had a definite answer for that. It is day by day. Day by day, things are evolving here in Quebec. Things are looking up. There's a lot less cases. I think we're like all this past week, we've been like under 100, which is like amazing. But between that and politics and public health and how things will end up looking, we just don't know. All I know is that things are very, very slow.
One thing is for sure. I mean, the kind of venue and the kind of shows that are going to be offered to us, we're going to do. So last year, we were the first Canadian band to do a driving show. We played 2 shows back to back in front of a bunch of cars. So that was something. Before, a couple months ago, we did a live stream show, and we'll continue to do whatever we can to play this music live, for sure, until the day comes that we can actually have bodies in a venue.
Yeah. I mean, we are booked for a February tour in the UK and hopefully even a stint in Europe prior to that. But the thing is, like, the bookings are great, but until we can actually get on that plane, we can only be hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where everyone is at. I mean, even though the States are, pretty much opened up and you can go to a concert, you can go to a sporting event, there's still concern about other variants that may, come in and affect society again. So, with that pause, that pause of positivity, you're just still kind of like, well, it's great for now. I hope it stays that way. And hopefully we don't take a step back.
Yeah.
So we just, it's just fingers crossed. I'd love for you guys to come play the States and see you guys here in the States.
Oh, we would love to, man.
Yeah. Last time we were in the States, we had a blast. We did a coast to coast tour. We played the Rock Legends cruise, and some highlights on that tour were amazing. New York City and
the Whiskey a Go-Go in LA.
Was great.
I mean, yeah, we know we're going to have a blast. We just need to get back on the road for sure. Yeah.
As you guys, keep performing and keep playing music, one of the things we do talk about a lot here on The Hook Rocks is the state of rock and roll. And, conversations in the past, it's kind of been an evolution in itself as we talk, about the lack of relevancy of rock and roll to now we're looking at the dawn of a resurgence because so much great music is coming out in 2021. It really started towards the end of 2020. But as that carries through to this year, we're seeing a lot more positivity and we're seeing a lot more connection with the youth of today, which is so vital to the survival of rock music. What do you guys see with what you're dealing with and how you guys handle things?
It's an interesting question. It's something that's always on our minds for sure. But, it doesn't surprise me that younger people are discovering rock. Because, I mean, how long can you go before you discover that whatever you're listening to is not that it's crap, but it's unauthentic. It's like there's something so real and true about certain kinds of rock. I mean, there's a lot of crap kind of rock and roll out there too. But I don't know. I feel like that in terms of the songwriting and the ability to convey a point or like even act as almost like a teaching platform. When I was a kid, I learned a lot about my political opinions through rock. Like a lot of those rock stars like taught me what I should think is right and wrong. And I don't really know if pop music really does that or provides that. It's kind of like, look at these. We showed up on iTunes chart the other day at like number 4 or whatever album, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. But just below us at number 5 was Queen, Greatest Hits. I'm like, wow, this album's 40 years old and it's still on the charts. Like people are still buying it. It's for a reason, It's like that music like means something to people. Like kids still buy it. It's I think that throwaway culture that I don't know who started it, but I think its day is gonna come. That's my belief and my hope anyway.
You'd like to think that, right? I mean, I agree with you. I mean, there's so much great music, as we've said, that usually, pretty much all the time, if something's really good, it will be found.
Yes.
And,
All that to say, though, is like we still have our issues with rock and roll, too. I mean, maybe it's better in the last few years, but I remember when we did our first album cycle and we were driving across Canada, radio station to radio station, trying to promote our record. And we would do these interviews, and people, they would have us in the studio, and we would play. And like it was pretty unanimous that people liked us. They really liked Lila's voice and the songs and whatever. But at the end of the interview, you always kind of like ask, "Oh, so can you add us to the playlist, or would you play our songs, to your audience?" And 95% of the times, you'd get the same answers, like, "Yeah, we love you guys, but you have a female singer. We don't really play stuff like that on a rock station." So times are changing too, It's not just about the guy, Mick Jagger, trashing a motel room anymore. It's like rock and roll has to be more inclusive, And I think it's getting better, but we still got some ways to go.
I think so too. When you look at the landscape of rock music, bands like yourself, The Pretty Reckless, you see Hailstorm and Evanescence, and you see these bands that are female-fronted bands that are having huge success in connecting with people all across the country and through different demographics. And I think that's great. I think that's really awesome. If anything, this new wave of rock is starting to be defined as being led by women, being led by women-led bands, female-led bands. And I think that's great. How do you guys see that?
I just think we should get to the point where it's a non-issue already.
You are right. You are right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been, I was very, very fortunate to like grow up in a household that me being a woman was never an issue. You know what I mean? Like there was never anything you can't do. There's anything can stop you. And also you should never, ever be scared, and I was very, very grateful also to have, the powerful female role models in my life, to kind of pave that way for me. And I think that it really is like we're in 2021. This should be a non-issue, gender should be a non-issue. It's just a matter of, if you're out there, you're doing what you love and you can connect with people can connect with you, then that's what it's all about. Be a good human. It does not matter your gender or your sexuality. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are making so much progress. Sometimes we feel, or I feel, we take a step back in certain things. But I'd like to get to the point where, just in terms of describing music and bands as female-led bands, that's not even discussed. It's just a rock band, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's so ingrained in our society and our way of thinking that there's female, we always say female-led bands and then rock bands. Well, female-led bands are rock bands, so how come they're kind of excluded from that? It's just an interesting perspective that people have. And, I had a great conversation with George Lynch, the guitar player from Dokken, a couple weeks ago. And he talked about the need to kind of rewire our way of thinking and our way that we approach things and see things. And it means a lot when we're talking about diversity and we're talking about moving forward and making progress as a society, that I hope one day, you're right, Lila, that we can look back and just not even include that in how we're describing the band.
Well, and I think that that's a big part of why rock and roll took the backseat for the last few years. We went through, as a society, as people, as the Western world, we went through like a big revolution when it comes to sexuality and feminism and all that stuff. And it's kind of like rock and roll always kind of glorified the male power, and it's
and the girls were the groupies, that hung around.
Exactly. So if we wanna have this tradition, keep going on, I mean, we have to just, like you said, rewire our brains and be open to new ideas in rock and roll, which is very important.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great place to end our conversation. I do appreciate you guys coming on and visiting the Hook Rocks.
Thank you so much for having us, and we can't wait to meet you down the road.
I hope so too. I can't wait to see you guys live. I was reading your bio, and I know you guys have played with the Rival Sons and Sheepdogs. I actually took my son a couple years ago to see both those bands, and it was a great show. And now that I'm thinking, I'm like, man, it would have been great if you guys were on that bill too as well in Chicago.
Oh man, yeah, for sure. I can't wait, man. It would have been amazing. Both those bands are absolutely incredible. We love them. They're great guys too.
Yes, they are. All right, everybody, that's Leela and Tom from The Damn Truth. I'm Jay Scott from The Hook Rocks. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will talk again soon. Thank you.